about the base case when you closed it or when it finished? How did that happen?
So I'm doing that rhetorical right? So kind of goes like this. We've gotten into the group, or I'd gotten into the group. We as a team, but I'm the undercover, right? We get in there. I start gaining the trust of a lot of people. We do a lot of trainings. And by the way, a 19-year-old kid led carbine training with the ARs, machine guns, semi-automatic. He led the training and some of the tactics training, and it was good. It was not bad. Wasn't the best, but I'm thinking to myself, if this guy really did break bad, he could get the drop on a lot of people because he's fast and accurate. Now, Adderall had a little bit to do with that because they would all pump that before we'd go out and train, and I'm like, I'm good. I'll just drink my coffee. But we started uncovering some different things, and like I said, they tied in the paganism stuff, and we would go down and do blots, and like I might pray to the Norse pantheon god of whoever, and then you would see the one guy, he says, well, I'm in the Egyptian pantheon, and he starts praying to some demon, and it's about like flesh melting off and blood and gore, and I'm like, boy, he's angry. I'm going to keep an eye on him, But we started uncovering several plots. We had the murder plots that were going to be what they believed was an Antifa couple in Georgia, but that was just the start. Luke, who went by the moniker TMB, the militant Buddhist, he had already started a list. Him and Pestilence had already started a list of like journalists and like news people, like on TV. And I said, oh, so let me get this straight. We're going to actually kill these people that are on TV too. And they're like, yeah, this is just the beginning. And I'm like, well, it's a good thing we've got this family to do our first dry run on, And again, it's the acts and furtherance of, right? So one guy bought bag catchers. They attach to your AR, so if we did have to shoot them, instead of the brass coming out and hitting the ground, that bag catches it. If you want to kill somebody, these are their ideas. If you want to kill somebody, let's do it with a revolver because it doesn't eject the brass. You can put a silencer on that revolver. They were going through all this. One will post here. They wanted me to go down with them to kill the family, and then Pestilence would burn the house down. We started uncovering all this stuff. Meanwhile, the group in Baltimore, Delaware area, there was I can't remember who the governor was at that time in Virginia, but very anti-gun, and there was going to be a huge gun rights rally around January-ish of 2019. I think I got it right, 19. And then, I think that's right. Either way, it's 19 or 20. But their idea was, they've already gone out, one of them's gone out and bought, he had a 6.5 Creedmoor. He did have a job, which was rare for most of the people in the group. 6.5 Creedmoor, and bought a $6,000 thermal scope. I mean, you can Bluetooth this thing, you can do all kinds of stuff. And the idea is it would help level the playing field for him to take out other people at nighttime because he wasn't as good of a sniper as others. But again, Baltimore FBI had a wiretap going, and these two guys and the stuff that they would talk about in their apartment, you would be just shocked. And it's out there. It's out there. It's been released by Canadian broadcast. It was, I mean, they're talking about like, hey, we'll go shoot a cop. Let the cop pull somebody over. We can take that cop out with a sniper rifle, go down there, because after we kill the cop, what are you going to get? You're going to get bullets. You're going to get some more weapons. You're going to get bulletproof vests. And we'll just keep doing that. Almost like the Sniper case, like driving around D.C. and shooting out a trunk. And that's what we started uncovering. And there were some other crimes like tagging or defacing synagogues and stuff like that. But this group really, and the last couple I was in, a lot of people think white supremacy, they think anti-black. Man, these people they hate Jewish people.
Really?
Hate them. And I'm just like, but it goes back to the whole Hitler thing, anyway. So one of the things that was always brought up and is interesting about the base cases, we did do a Halloween training. And we were out there training, and they went and stole a goat or a ram. I've asked owners of goats and rams. It had ram horns. I think the size is the difference. I don't know. But either way, they stole it. And And I'd already taught some hand-to-hand combat stuff that day for training. And I dozed off in my truck, and went to banging. Pale horse, you got to get up. You got to get up. We got this goat. I'm like, what do you mean you got a goat? I'm like, oh man, where did y'all take this thing? They stole it. So we go down in this long walk in the woods, but I'd already been down there several times, so it didn't freak me out. The first time I walked down there, Ed, I was like, am I getting butterflies right now? I'm like, this is kind of spooky. So the long and short of it is they sacrificed the goat at a pagan blot to start the wild hunt. In Norse mythology, the wild hunt was Odin and other gods going out and just tearing up and wiping out their enemies, right? Well, their idea of the wild hunt was, we're going to start doing the same thing, but it's going to be wiping the world of non-whites and Jewish, right? And we're sacrificing this goat, which, by the way, is a love offering. And it needs to be, there needs to be no negativity, because this goat needs to know it's loved, or ram, know it's loved because it's going to Odin. And we will see it again in Valhalla or whatever we're talking about. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my whole arm's Viking kind of stuff, you know, but so he goes to chop the head of it off, and I guess the back strap of the goat, the machete didn't even break a hair on it, man. He comes down, conk, and you're like, oh no. And I'm holding the back of the goat, and did that split second in your mind, you're going, this is going to be so bloody and nasty. Oh. But one guy had a gun. They ended up shooting the goat in the head, cut the goat's throat, fill a chalice or glass full of blood, and then we're walking around, and a lot of them did acid. Of course I didn't, but went around and they would do the drop of acid and then drink the blood. So by the time the glass got to me, it was already clotting. And this is where the Rolling Stones article got it wrong. It says, I said, screw that. No, I drank. I didn't turn it up because it was already getting chunky, but I put my finger in there and drank it. But I say all that because a lot of people are freaked out about that, but that was a hate camp, because 2 days later, after everybody doing acid killed the second day of training. But on the third day, we're doing all these propaganda videos. And remember me talking to you about radicalization of teens online, or radicalizing anybody. They do these propaganda videos, and the only rule was the next video has to be better than the last one. And we're doing all that. We held a bonfire. We burnt holy Bibles. We burnt American flags, you know, F your Jewish God, all this stuff. And then you talk about being different than what you believe.
Of course, yeah.
You know, I will say that the Bibles didn't burn. That was pretty amazing to me. You can say what you want. People are like, well, the paper's made out of sand. It doesn't burn. So I said, I watched everything burn. The cover was burnt, but it flipped open in the pages, and to the point to where one guy said, these fucking Bibles just won't burn, you know? But after all of that, that's when I gained more trust, and that's when they started bringing me in on these murder things. So what happens is we're now, it's almost like a master of puppets thing, because you got so many FBI field offices investigating people in their own jurisdictions that are members of the base. And we're like, because if we take this one off, it's going to burn this one, and vice versa. You just, you know, so it just, you know, what you want to believe, you know, divine intervention or whatever you want to believe, or just luck. Everything came together, and we were able to, I think it started with me on a Friday. I flew to Baltimore, met the case team, drove up to Delaware, trained with those guys all day, sighting in weapons, talking about if we were actually going to go down the following week to the gun rights rally, because their idea is to pop a few rounds, because you would pretend like you're a 3%er, and all the cops will be there, and there's going to be all these people, and it's going to be a powder keg waiting to go off. And they were all like, what if this is the boogaloo? What if this is the set off to the boogaloo? How bad would you feel if you weren't there to make somebody bleed, kind of thing? I'd never forgive myself. This is where we're getting. And, you know, it goes to the whole guerrilla warfare, poison water supplies, derail trains, take down power systems, anything to create chaos. So we got that going, and the case team's like, we want to dot a couple of I's and cross a couple of T's. The AUSA is ready. The Assistant United States Attorney's ready. We just want to make sure about these things to seal it tight to get the arrest. So it's an airtight case. And I did that, and then that Saturday, I think I crashed about 3, 4 in the morning. I got up and drove back to the airport, flew to Atlanta, got delayed, rental car place closed. hauled butt up to Rome, Georgia, where the other crew was at, and we got everything tight on the last guy that wanted to be a part of the murders. And so that was Sunday. Yeah, so Sunday, I drove home. I got home probably like, I don't know, early morning hours, Monday, slept a little bit. Tuesday, I was back in Rome meeting a SWAT team that was going to do the hit. The big thing with Luke is he was on that 100-acre farm. So there's no real way to sneak onto it without neighbors and stuff knowing. So out of all the arrests that were going to happen, we were most concerned about that one, safety-wise. So I did some UC undercover work, and we got it to where I was going to be picking him up, going to lunch, and then my truck would have a problem and the SWAT team would hit us. And that's kind of how it all went down. So that Wednesday, we arrested the Georgia crew and kept it real quiet. Thursday morning, early hours, FBI, Washington field office SWAT and FBI Baltimore SWAT hit all the other guys. And then it started trickling, and I'm just quiet because I'm in the main chat for the base on Wire. And now the affidavits are starting to come out, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, did you see this? TMB's been arrested. Wait a minute, Can't Go Back's been arrested. Punished Snake's been arrested." And Punished Snake was a Canadian who had absconded illegally into the United States because he got doxxed. You know what doxxed is? Right. So he got outed. For the listeners that may not know, he got outed in media and everything in Canada for being a white supremacist. And he absconded illegally. There was a time where we were looking for him. We found him I went to a training down at the farm. We had no idea. We went down there, and I was like, there's an extra person under the awning. I walked up, and I go, oh, my gosh, it's the Canadian. So they got him, and then I'm sitting there, and it's Friday, and I'm watching all the chatter. Has anybody talked to Pale Horse, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other? Well, here's the crazy thing about the base. The leader and creator of the base is named Ronaldo Nazzaro. Ronaldo Nazzaro is an American citizen who graduated from, it wasn't Purdue. Was it Villanova? I don't know. But he graduated from a pretty prominent school, was Army Intel, was contracted under the Department of Justice. I can't remember if it was FBI or whatever. Well, now he resides in Russia. And he created the base. He had some land in the Pacific Northwest, but, awful lot of money to say you're just translating English or teaching English, right? So, draw from that what you want. But he's the leader. And as I'm watching, right around 5 o'clock on Friday, I see, hey, how can we not know if there's a Fed in here? Blah, blah, blah. We've done this. Because every time a member would get doxxed in the base and get outed, the operational security got tighter. In other words, now I'm not just going to come meet you and talk to you face to face. I'm going to make you use racial slurs and see if you're uncomfortable using, things like that, to be vetted thoroughly. So right around that time, Roman comes on and he says, I don't know if we could ever, something to the effect of, I don't know anything we did could have outed him. He was one of our best members. And then I'm reading it, I'm going, oh, he knows it's me now, and he starts laying it out. And he said that I went to every training, which should have been maybe that should have been a red flag, but I didn't go to every one. He got that wrong. But anyway, you're sitting there watching it, and you're watching him reading it, and then boom, it says you've been removed by Roman. So I screenshotted that and sent it to all the teams and said I'm out. But there were members in there that went on to say things like, wait, you're telling me the Fed was the guy with the deep voice? And they're like, yeah. And they go, there was something really endearing about him. And then the other dude would be like, well, maybe that's why they picked him and stuff. So the thing is it's still out there because, of course, everybody wasn't arrested because everybody didn't commit a crime necessarily.
Right.
And hopefully we did our due diligence, and that scared a lot of people off to say, this is wrong. I'm not going to do this anymore. But a lot of people just changed their moniker. And they go right to this other website or Discord or it was 4chan, 8chan, 12chan, whatever they got now, Threema, all these things. But like you look at the mass shooter from New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand, he was posting live on, it was either 8chan. I think it was 8chan at that point. He's posting live. I'm getting ready to go do this. I'm going to blog it live. All the white supremacy stuff. So, it's still out there.
How big would you say it is currently in the United States?